you have the mayor's race. I don't know if you want to chime in on that, because you do have someone you work with running for office there. That would be Zohran Mamdani. So I don't know what your thoughts are on the mayor's race and his campaign, because there's so much chatter about that.
Yeah. So I see you just put up a quote from an article in the New York Post a few weeks ago, because they asked me about the fact that he had not made a vote in the state assembly for about a month. He really, from the time we finished the budget, the second week of May, he's been a no-show, has not been in Albany once, has not been voting on any bills, has missed hundreds and hundreds of votes. Look, he obviously has some talent in terms with connecting with people. He's done pretty well in the polls, but his policies are just completely as far left as you could possibly be. People are starting to hopefully wake up to that and seeing pulling out some of the old tweets about defunding the police and other extreme views. And look, he's like, I mentioned some of my Democratic Socialist colleagues, whether it's Mamdani or any of the other Democratic Socialist colleagues. These guys all went and ran primaries against other Democratic members, many of which I would say were progressive Democrats, and had, the resumes to back it up with things that they've gotten done. I didn't agree with the things they got done, but they had gotten a lot of stuff done in their time in office. This group really hasn't. They came in and they, made a lot of noise, and they would criticize on the floor of the assembly their own party. But since then, I would say I'm sure they're, doing this behind closed doors with their other Democratic colleagues, but they're pretty quiet on the floor when it comes to our assembly sessions.
So would you say you see him present for when you have to vote on bills, or is he absent?
Well, in the last 6 weeks, he hasn't been around at all. Before that, yeah, he was generally there when we were in session. But in the recent past, as it's gotten closer to this election, he's been spending his time back home in New York City campaigning. And look, I'll be honest, I'm fine with us finishing session without that extreme of voice hanging around in Albany trying to push an agenda that I don't think is the right thing for New York.
Yeah, I would think that, but I think that as he's an elected official, he should be at least showing up for the legislative sessions where you're voting on things.
Right, absolutely. We are the highest paid legislature in the country. You got to do your job first, and I don't know how you go and make the case to people, say, hey, give me another job, a higher job, but I'm going to neglect that one while I'm trying to get you to vote for me for something else.
When I read what you said, and you were saying to the Post about him not being at the voting sessions, I think that's a dereliction of duty. I mean, I understand he's running for office, but to give you an example, if J.D. Vance, who's not a vice president, was the senator in Ohio and they're voting on something, he won't be campaigning that day to show up to vote. That's just the way it works. I don't know how, he would come to the Senate chambers. He would vote on whatever bill's there. Here you have a guy running for mayor, and he's completely absent from the scene when it comes to voting for bills that, as a mayor, he may or may not have a say if those bills get passed and then affect the city. So he's not even voting on it. He doesn't even care. I don't get it with this guy. I look at him here. It says here he worked as a music supervisor on Queen of Catway, a Hollywood film about a chess prodigy from a shanty town on the outskirts of Campia, directed by his mother, Mira Nair, an Oscar-nominated filmmaker. And this is in 2015. Plus, I saw him crying yesterday, which is as you know, that's in a political playbook. When you get caught saying or doing something, you go out there and you start crying and get emotional because the low information people. And so I'll still vote for him. And that's basically what he did yesterday.
It's scary to see how well he has done in the polls. I mean, if somebody like him were to be elected mayor, New York City is just done. And the wild card here, it is this ranked choice voting system.
Yes.
because it's hard to fully understand how that vote plays out when you're dealing with people's second, third place votes, and it seems like the campaigns have gotten much smarter to how to utilize this and manipulate this than they did 4 years ago. And the question is, does the public truly get how this works to try to make sure that you don't end up with that type of person as our mayor?